They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, I strive to have my photographs worth millions. I've been working as a photographer for years, and I'd had a few shots worthy of praise, but it's not enough. I want to take the perfect picture that will put my mark on history like Alfred Eisenstadt and Malcolm Brown. I needed a shot that would put the person seeing it in tears. That's when I had an idea. Something that would give someone a sense of mortality. A picture that can bring you face to face with death. So after having a few drinks for creativity, I grabbed my camera and set off into the night towards the nearest cemetery. The creative juices were flowing through my brain. The idea was to take a shot of a grave with a perfect full moon over the trees. At the time, it was a truly perfect photograph in my head. I made it to the site. It was a little after midnight, and my head was racing at just the ambience of the place. My body was hit with a wave of cold air as I got out of my car. I stepped through an iron gate that separated me from the land of the dead, my footsteps crunching on fallen leaves. I looked around, taking in my surroundings as I made my way deeper through the cemetery. The area was truly void of any sign of life aside myself. I found a headstone, readied my camera, and just before taking the shot, started hearing sobbing. It was so loud and sudden that it made me jump. The sound of a woman crying hysterically. I surveyed my surroundings, and the wails were echoing all around me. I tried my best to follow the sorrowful cries. It felt as though they were ringing through my skull. I stepped over a few graves, through some trees, and found myself on the other side of the cemetery. I was met with a rolling hill, adorned with a few headstones, and the moon, in full, was cascading its white light over everything. My breath caught in my throat, as I saw a woman crying over one of the graves, sobbing uncontrollably. She was wearing a white dress, and moonlight illuminated it, making it have a warm glow. The woman was on her hands and knees over the grave. I was drawn in like a siren to her crying, and I lifted my camera to my eye. The scenery, her despair, even the lighting was perfect. I took a few shots, and I noticed that everything was completely silent. I zoomed in on my camera to the woman, and she slowly turned her head towards me. I nearly dropped my camera when I saw her face. The woman's face was split down the middle, blood splattering everywhere. She started towards me, with bloodshot eyes. She opened her mouth and let out a horrifying shriek. Her face was suddenly too close to my view, and I removed my camera from my face to find that she was right in front of me. I stumbled backwards, and I heard my camera shatter as the impact hit the ground. The woman sobbed as she slowly creeped towards me. The blood on her face pitter-pattered as it hit the floor. I shuffled back as she got closer and closer. Then she was suddenly inches away from my face. Through the split down her face, I could see shattered bones and bits of her brain. I took a deep breath and screamed, lifting myself to my feet. I ran out of there as fast as I could, not looking back as she continued to cry. I could barely sleep that night. In fact, as soon as I got into my car, I drove to the nearest church and just sat in my car. The whole time I just sat in silence. A woman's face kept coming into my head. As morning came, I realised I had completely forgotten my camera. I mustered up the courage to go back to retrieve it. I backtracked, trying to remember the path I took when I found my camera completely broken on the floor. That's when I looked up to see a woman crying at a grave. The same grave from last night. The woman was wearing jeans and a black shirt. Assuming she wasn't the same person from last night, I stepped over and asked if she was okay. When she looked up at me, I felt my heart drop to my stomach to see that she had a similar face. The woman explained to me that her younger sister had just died recently in a car accident. She was mourning her loss. I gave my condolences and left her alone, looking onto my camera to see all the photos were lost. A truly perfect picture was now gone forever. The overwhelming feeling of death that I felt dissipated into the ether. That's when I turned to look back at the girl. Her face was very similar. I proceeded to lift a nearby rock and gripped it behind my back and stepped towards the woman. Hey, do you mind if I take your picture?